Good afternoon, Facebook. It's hump day, and you know I got a word and a message for you today. It's still National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so I gotta bring you a message today. First, we gotta get our praise on.
Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever. Lord, you are good and your mercy endureth forever.
Yes.
People from every nation and from generation to generation, we worship you. Hallelujah, hallelujah, we worship you for who you are. We worship you.
All right.
Hallelujah, we worship you for who you are.
All right, y'all. I want to come on here today just to give you a little message. I'm excited. This weekend, I got an event coming up. We Can Do It Positive Summit, and I will be your keynote speaker. So if you would, please go online and register. I just made a post just before this video where you can register for the event. It is in Fort Worth, Saturday morning, and I just would like to see a lot of smiling faces come out and support this event and get empowered in order from you to go from surviving to thriving. And I feel like this is just going to be one of those kinds of events where people are going to leave there inspired and motivated and ready to be transformed and do some things that they've never ever done before in life. And as I look back over my life and look at all the things that I have come through, I am just overjoyed today to be able to talk about it, spread the word, and be able to inspire someone else to do the same. So I want to just basically give you a little bit of information. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in about going from surviving to thriving, because when I had all of the things to happen to me, as you all may know, that I am a survivor of domestic and sexual abuse, and now thriving to be all that I can be in leaving a legacy for my family and for those in generations to come. So this is what I have done to get to this point, and just being able to tell my story, share my story with the world, has just been a blessing in itself. It has opened up so many doors for me to be able to get on different platforms, and I'm just grateful to God to be able to do it all. So if you think that your story does not mean anything to anybody, you better think again, because you just never know who's going through what and who you can inspire. I was at an event on this past weekend, and I was just listening to the testimony of the young lady that gave her testimony, and she talked about, how drugs just took over and how the drug itself is just numbing. And I just never could understand, even like looking at a lot of these entertainers' life stories and how they would just always do drugs. And I'm like, man, don't they see what these drugs are doing to each other and doing to themselves? And why do they just continue to take all of these drugs? I mean, we look on the outside, we're on the outside looking in, thinking that everything is peaches and cream for them because they're entertainers, they're stars, and they got the whole wide world in their hands, and we're just like, man, what is going on? Why are you doing all these drugs? And you just never know what the person is going through that is right next to you. And from what I understand, the drug is numbing. It's a numbing effect that just takes all the pain away. And everybody uses different coping mechanisms to take away their pain, whether it be drugs, whether it be sleeping with different people, whether it's drinking or being in control of someone else. You just never know what it is that the person next to you is going through and what they use in order to help them to cope with everyday life. I just got to a point to where now I can really understand the next person's pain because of all the things that I've dealt with in my life, and everybody's situation is going to be different. So we can't be the ones to judge what someone else is doing in order to get through their situations. But what I'm here to tell you today is that you don't have to just survive anymore. You can hang up that word surviving and start thriving. You can start doing things that is going to be purposeful for other people, because whatever it took for you to get out of that situation, then share that information with someone else. And that's what I've been doing. I've been sharing my information with someone else. I didn't know exactly what to do after I got sexually assaulted in my own home, and I didn't know which direction to go. I just did what I needed to do, and in order for me to be safe, I moved out of that location where everything had happened to me. I moved in with a relative. I didn't know if the guy knew me or if I knew him or not, because I never saw his face. So right today, I don't know who that person is that sexually assaulted me in my own home, because I woke up to a pillow over my face. And so my thing is, I was in fear. I was living in fear for a very, very long time. I didn't even like when nighttime came, because when nighttime came, it was just like, it was a thriller night. I didn't like being by myself. I didn't like being home by myself. But I had to do what was most fearful for me in order for me to get past that. So in order for me to get past my fear, I had to face my fear. And in order to face my fear, I had to just go ahead and go into that house by myself. I had to go ahead and go out at night and get the things that I needed to get. If I needed to be out at night, I had to go ahead and wash my face and look up in the mirror and not think that anyone was behind me. I had to go ahead and move into that new place that I moved into after being assaulted in my own home. I had to face the fears of everything that had happened to me. So I went from surviving to thriving. And when I say thriving, I had to go ahead and say, you know what, regardless of what you think or what you may think or what he may think, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write this book and I'm going to tell this story the way it happened. And if you got a problem with it, then that's your problem, because what I'm going to do right now with this situation is turn this thing around for me so that I can be able to help myself as well as help someone else, because I had to be able to get through life without just holding on to things and sweeping things up under the rug and saying, well, you know what, I'm just going to let this be. I'm not going to say nothing to nobody. I'm going to keep quiet about this. I've been keeping quiet for far too long, so I'm not keeping quiet about anything anymore. So that's why I feel as though that my dreams are now coming true, because what I said I wanted to do is go out and speak to everybody and tell everybody that you can go from surviving to thriving. You can make your mess a message, and you can turn things around for yourself and for other people. And when I heard that message this past weekend from that young lady, and how all of these things that happened in one night. One night she had been raped 3 times by 3 different people because she wanted that drug so bad. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And she had been thrown into a back of a trunk, and she was being driven off to somewhere and then just dumped out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm just like, what? Oh my goodness, when you think that your situation is bad, then you just listen to somebody else's. And I was just like, Lord Jesus, if she can get through all of this, and she has turned her whole life around, she's doing production, she's doing theater, she's written a book, and she's out here telling her testimony to all of the people that she can give her testimony to. She's out on the streets, she's helping homeless, and she's doing a lot of things in the community. And I was just like, wow, if somebody like that can turn their life around, then what is keeping you from doing the same thing? Because what you have to basically do is change your mindset. And I keep on preaching and saying that you have to change your mindset, because if you stay in the same mentality that you always have been in, you're going to keep doing the things the same way that you always have been. But if you want to just make some changes in your life, then you have to become the change that you want to be. And that's what I want to do at this point in my life. I want to become the change that I want to see. And so therefore, I'm just getting out here in these streets, and I'm doing what it is I got to do. I talked about doing what you got to do. I'm out here and I'm talking to people. Just yesterday, I was picking up a passenger. I told y'all last week that I was driving Uber, and I picked up a passenger just yesterday, and she was talking about the fact that she and another lady were getting into it behind this guy and everything. And because I had told her that I was a public speaker and that I had written a book, and that's the way I kind of promote myself, And so I just talked to a lot of people, and she shared this story with me, and I gave her my card, and I said, you know what, you have to first not settle for things that you are not deserving of. You have to first be able to love yourself in order to be able to love someone else. And it doesn't make any sense that we as women have to keep going through the same kind of things behind men, because these men are, playing all of these different games or whatever, and then have the women fighting each other when he don't want nobody. And he just out here running around doing whatever it is he's going to do, and just not being faithful and loyal to anybody. And I'm just like, you know what? The 2 women talked, and, one was being jealous of the other and all of this. And it just got, and, she just shared a whole bunch of stuff with me. But I'm just sitting up here thinking, man, I remember going through all of that. And I just say, you know what? I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that anymore, because now I love me, and I can choose what it is that I want to be in my life. And if I don't want that kind of mess going on in my life, I don't have to accept that. And I'm telling that you don't have to accept it either. And that's how you go from surviving to thriving. You don't just have to have a piece of a man just because, it's just a shortage of men out here. Just be happy with this little bit, because he over here doing this, and he over there doing it. You don't have to accept that anymore, women. And that's what I'm here to let you know, because there are some decent men out there. I still believe that. I still believe that there are decent people out here that are going to love and give us the love that we deserve. And that is what you have to open up yourself to want as well. And I know that it's hard, because this stuff doesn't take place just as adults. It stems from little children. If you are a parent and you have low self-esteem, then how can you yourself be able to teach your daughter how to have high self-esteem for herself? You can't do that. So therefore, you have to do something in order to accept the fact that this is how I grew up, but this is not how I want my babies to grow up. I need for them to see and do something different. And since I got a granddaughter that's coming up in this world in the next few months, I want to be able to empower this baby as she grows up, just to let her know that you don't have to accept this and you don't have to accept that. All you have to accept is the very best. And so that's what I want to be able to help you all, to help your generation to do as well. Because at some point in life, we got to get it right. We got to get it right. I'm still learning, I'm still healing, and I'm still trying to be the best me that I can be, because I have not got there yet. I'm a long way from it. But that's the message that I want to send to you today. Just because your situation is bad, and then all of a sudden, you're just trying to make it through. You're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get through today. You're just trying to get through next week, tomorrow. Stop being in that I'm surviving mentality and get into that thriving mentality. And let's go out here and get it and make things happen. We need to be the ones that make a difference in our lives and other people's lives, because that's what is purpose for us, and that's what God wants us to do each and every day of our life, is to be a servant for someone else. So that's the message that I have for you. Go from surviving, just making it through today, to thriving, so that you can be able to go out and impact someone else's life as well as your own. And we're going to go on out on this song here by Israel Houghton, what we came in on. So y'all pray for me, I'll pray for you, and together we will make this world a better place to live in. And y'all have a good afternoon. Yes, Lord.